Our discussion of the big headline over the weekend, the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. Some believe the heated political rhetoric is to blame, possibly inciting violence during an already intense election season.
And here to catch us up on what we need to know is our very own Mike Muse. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here. After this weekend, everyone is talking about how we got here. And a lot of people pointing to the current political rhetoric, but we have to point out there is a difference between words and acts of violence.
It absolutely is. This is a very pivotal time in America and American history. In particular, is also at a point where we need to re-examine ourselves and how we are using our rhetoric and really ask us, should we be toning down the rhetoric? What's wonderful about America and our democracy is that our Constitution provides us to have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, in particular when it comes to political messaging and political thoughts. But up until a point, the founder said, of when it causes harm. And so we had to examine now, when is it causing harm? And in 2024, harm means something different than it meant when the Constitution was first framed. Harm could have meant more physical, but now we have to examine this time, is it also too mental? Because it feels so personal, which can turn to visceral, which can then turn to action, to what we saw over the weekend.
And Eva mentioned it off the top, words can be very powerful. What can we learn from history?
That's such a really great question. I've actually been thinking about that a lot over the weekend. And for me, I have felt like for so long that the guardrails of our democracy have come across. And I keep thinking about the late, great John McCain. And I keep thinking about him and his town hall he had in 2008 when he was running against, at the time, candidate Barack Obama. And there was a moment when the lady from the town hall said that she was nervous of Obama. She was afraid of him because he was an Arab, right? And I want to be very clear, because you're an Arab doesn't mean that's not negative at all. But what John McCain did in that moment was he stopped her. And he said, no, I know him. I am running against him. He is a decent man, and he is a family man. And he stopped it at the helm. And so I keep waiting and thinking about our John McCain moment, who is someone of authority, who can stop the rhetoric before it becomes too divisive.
But how much of the responsibility does fall on the candidate to control the rhetoric?
People who are in positions of leadership, people who are in positions of authority, and people who have information, who are learned on certain topics and experts, we need them out there more to stop it at its source before misinformation gets spread to the point where it becomes personal, and then to the point where people don't know how to dissect when it's personal, when it's rhetoric, when it's policy, and when it's harmful, and when it's actions. Because we're seeing protests now even look different, right? There's a visceral reaction that we're seeing in protests now that we haven't seen before, because politics is almost a brand of religion.
Well, you have to remember, there is a line. It's okay to disagree, but it is not okay to harm each other.
Exactly.
Mike Muse.